Thank you for joining us today for this showcase to show Phlexglobal's current solutions to be IDMP ready. I'll take you on a short walk through our system that should give you an idea how we track and collect data for IDP submissions and our vision how to minimize the workload of people involved in the different processes. Let's have a look at the system to better understand what I'm talking about. I'm starting, and I hope you can see the screen with our product here. I'm starting off in the product list page, and will select a product that should help me stop smoking with some transdermal patch of that has a nicotine attached to it. So I'm going to this product. First of all, IDMP will replace xEVMPD at some point in the future, but since xEVMP data is not just a subset of IDMP data, there's overlap, but not always a one-to-one relationship. This made us to allow our clients to have both systems in parallel, copying existing information to IDMP, but storing data separately. So companies would be able to collect and prepare their IDMP data, and at the same time, they can still maintain and submit their current xEVMP data. You would be able to switch between both views here with the button at the top that is saying RIM view. So there's a RIM view and there's an IDMP view. Currently, we are in IDMP view. If you switch to RIM view, you would get all the relevant xEVMPD data, and from there you would do your xEVMPD submissions. Now, how can I identify a product in IDMP? As we know, EMA will do this based on specific IDs, like the Product Management Service Identifier or the Medicinal Product Identifier, MPID. But this can only be done as soon as we got this number back from the agency after our first submission. Working closely with our clients, we decided to allow the companies to define their own company internal product name that can be independent of the official medicinal product name that might be available only in a local language that the user who enters the data might not be familiar with. So we display some sort of a summary screen here at the top, where we have product family, product category, product name, the country we are applying in, and the regulatory status. The information we track is split into sections that you can easily navigate with our go-to section browser. So wherever you need to go, it's one click to go there. We try to group information in a bit more logical way than the granularity of the implementation guide chapter suggests, like you can see in the sections legal aspects, as I have opened here, and the pharmacovigilance. We just build things together that we believe belong together. It's not directly related to the chapters in the IDMP guidance. Wherever you enter values that are not numeric, dates, or free text fields, we provide users with official RMS and OMS lists from SPOR, like Jim mentioned. And this is to avoid any typos in the data entry and to be aligned with the controlled vocabulary of the agency. So if, for example, we are here in the legal status, legal aspect section, and we want to define something about the orphan drug here, we see here the controlled vocabulary from the RMS list. Now, within our system, there's just the option to have some type ahead. So the more characters I type, the more selection I get. And it's a filter that looks for contains. So if I go in and type in PEC, then I get the part of this minor use of minor species here. So that's how we would select the values here. And if there's a value that has dependent values, then they will show up. If, for example, orphan designation is selected here, we will have to enter a couple of these additional values like orphan designation status, number, and some dates here. Our internal lists are updated daily from the SPORE systems. Since we experienced some outages or slow responses from the official SPORE databases, we rather pull information from our own updated lists than via direct API calls from their systems. I will talk now about some actions we took to make data entry more user-friendly and minimize the work to be done. We try to hide information that is seldomly used and only touched once during data entry and validation. So for example, I think it's the section above, if we talk about the medicinal product name. Now there's this full name, that is an important information. That can be available in different languages. In this case, I have chosen an example from Belgium where we have 3 languages. So when you enter the data the first time, you will be required to split up this full product name into its parts, for example, invented part, a strengths part, and a pharmaceutical dose form part here on the right side. Now, this information needs to be entered once, it needs to be validated by someone, but it's the correct information. But then I guess you never will touch this again. So the important information is here in this grid, the different languages with their full product names. And as soon as you need to go to more detailed information, you just open up this little arrow on the left side. Where information needs to be tracked dependent on other data, we use tree elements to reflect these dependencies. And I give you an example here, or multiple examples here at the end. When we look at the ingredients, ingredients are related to, on one hand, to the pharmaceutical product, and on the other hand, to the manufactured item. So we here have defined all the ingredients within a pharmaceutical product. So if you click on one of the 3 elements, you see on the right side the attributes of this element. And using, or let's go to one of the ingredients, because it's an interesting one to look at how they are managed here. So you see usually some general information at the top, like the substance, reference substance, and manufacturer. And then you see here always a summary line where we combine what is selected in the appropriate field. So we talk about this numerator quantity, unit term IDs, and denominator quantity and unit term IDs. These are brought together in one string here at the top, so it's easier to read that we have here 25 milligram per 24 hours per 1 patch. And in the same way, you would fill out all these other values. Now, in these bulleted items, you have the possibility to, for example, add further ingredients or copy a product, so you don't have to replicate the work if there's many subtrees to be identical. So if I'm adding here something, and this is just an example how we fill this out, I would select, for example, an excipient here, define what is the concentration type. Is it equal or is it a range of strengths? And in the substance section, I would just type ahead a couple of characters, and then it would be, let's say, correct substance. In the manufacturers, that's a nice one as well, because we need to go here to the OMS database, but I mean, names like Boehringer are well known. They have lots of locations. So what we do here, we pull out as well the location with their location ID here internally and bring it up as a string. And this is really searchable. So you don't need to have the name of the company. If I'm just looking which companies are nearby our Munich office here, I would type in the area code of the Munich office, and then I see which companies are nearby here and have the same area code. And then you would fill out, let's take one of them, and then you fill out here your values, or let's say 100 is my value, and I have quantity here in this, and then I have maybe milligrams. And as you type ahead, the list of possible values slims down, and I have this amount of milligrams per patch. That's the way how you would create new values here and save it off. If product details are changing throughout the life cycle of the product, new activities can be created from the top of the screen. So let's go here up there and find the place where this is done. So new activities you create to define information about, for example, what variation filing you are doing, what are the timelines for this filing, and you get the information what is planned, improved, and implemented. And the result of this planning then shows up here in an extra section. That's not currently something that is purely defined in the guidance yet, but we have it here already. So you would see here some overall information at the top concerning lifecycle tracking, for example, the approval date and the renewal dates and renewal expiration date. And further down, you would see the current and ongoing and historic activities on your product. So we had an initial marketing application here. We had a manufacturer name change that was a variation, and we are currently planning on a renewal filing for November of this year. The validation and approval process will as well be started here at the top in this product action window as soon as the EMA lets us know how a complete fire message would need to look like. In case the fire message needs to be submitted together with the ECDD submission, all our software modules are tightly integrated, and this can be done easily directly from the submission management here on the left side, where we define our ECDD submissions in case you submit the fire message together with the ECDD submission. You know that there are two different possibilities. There are some changes that go just can be submitted via an API, and if there is a closing sequence, then it goes into the ECDD submission. This was a short overview of what information we track for IDMP submission and how we handle it. Since Phlexglobal has developed a very powerful artificial intelligence system called FlexNeuron that Jim mentioned before, we are planning to marry this with the IDMP system to make data entry even more easy. When you create a new product, you need to provide an SMPC document anyway. So if you go here to our product management, I click on create product. Usually you have to fill out a couple of general things, but we added here a possibility to say, I want to attach an SMPC document. You upload this, and our AI platform would then mine all the data, all the information from this document and show these entries to the user as an automized data entry that he or she just needs to confirm. And I think I have, since this marriage is not completely done yet, I think I can give you a last slide that gives you an idea how this would look like. So we would upload a document during product creation, and then the values that we have experienced in the document data would be showing up with some idea around what is the percentage of that we are sure that this is the right value that should be detected. And then the user would just have a little accept a URL or a button beside this value and could accept or could just type a new value into this field. Back to Jim for a last word.
Thanks, Marcus. Yeah, I think that sums up everything that we're looking to do around IDMP, either what we have today or what we plan to do in the future. So just a, a 5-point summary here. I won't read that to everybody in the interest of time, but certainly open to conversations with anybody who wants to get into this a little bit more detailed fashion.